The parking lot was almost empty. It was just after 2 a.m. on a cool autumn morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Most people driving past the McDonald's barely noticed the faded blue station wagon parked beneath the farthest streetlight. To them, it looked like an old family car waiting for daylight. But inside, 4 lives were trying to make it through one more night. 34-year-old Ethan Walker shifted uncomfortably in the driver's seat, careful not to wake the 3 children sleeping beside and behind him. His oldest daughter, Lily, 11, had curled herself around her little brother Noah, who was only 7. Their youngest, 4-year-old Emma, was wrapped in a worn yellow blanket, hugging a stuffed rabbit that had long ago lost one of its ears. The windows were fogged from their breathing. Ethan quietly rubbed the inside of the windshield with his sleeve so he could watch the parking lot. He wasn't afraid of strangers. He was afraid someone would ask them to leave. Just 3 months earlier, Ethan had been living what most people would call an ordinary American life. He worked as a skilled auto mechanic, rented a small house, coached Noah's Little League team on weekends, and never missed Lily's school concerts. Then everything changed. The repair shop where he'd worked for 12 years closed after the owner unexpectedly retired and sold the property. Ethan searched everywhere for work, but jobs were scarce. His savings disappeared faster than he'd imagined. Bills piled up. The landlord eventually had no choice but to evict them. Ethan sold nearly everything he owned to keep food on the table. The last thing he refused to sell was the station wagon. "It still runs," he'd whispered to himself. "As long as it runs, we're together." Every evening he found a safe parking lot, bought the children dinner with what little money remained, and told them it was just another adventure until Daddy found a new job. The children believed him. Mostly because they wanted to. Across town, someone else couldn't sleep. Sophia Bennett, founder and CEO of Bennett Automotive Technologies, was driving herself home after an emergency board meeting. At 46, Sophia was one of the wealthiest businesswomen in the Midwest. Her company designed advanced electric vehicle systems used by manufacturers across the country. But money had never cured loneliness. Years earlier, she'd lost both parents within 18 months. She had built a billion-dollar company, yet every holiday she still found herself sitting alone in a house far too large. That night, she stopped at the McDonald's drive-thru for a coffee before heading home. As she waited for her order, something caught her attention. The old station wagon. She noticed condensation covering every window except a small clear circle near the driver's seat. Someone was awake. Curious, she parked nearby. From a respectful distance she saw Ethan carefully tuck Emma's blanket around her tiny shoulders before quietly leaning back in his seat. He never realized someone was watching. Sophia didn't see a man asking for help. She saw a father doing everything he could not to let his children know how hard life had become. That image stayed with her. Instead of driving away, she walked inside McDonald's and bought 4 hot breakfasts along with cartons of milk and orange juice. When she gently knocked on the driver's window, Ethan startled awake. His first reaction wasn't fear. It was embarrassment. "I'm sorry," he quickly said through the cracked window. "We'll leave. I wasn't bothering anyone." Sophia smiled kindly. "I'm not here to ask you to leave." She held up the breakfast bags. "I thought your family might be hungry." For a moment Ethan couldn't speak. Pride and gratitude fought silently inside him. I can't pay you. I'm not asking you to." Lily slowly opened her eyes. "Dad?" "It's okay, sweetheart," Ethan whispered. Sophia crouched so she was eye level with the children. "Good morning," she said softly. "Looks like I ordered too much breakfast. Would you help me by eating some?" Emma peeked over the seat. "Hash browns?" Sophia laughed gently. "Extra crispy." Within minutes, the children were smiling for the first time in days. Watching them laugh over warm pancakes felt strangely emotional. Sophia remembered breakfasts with her own parents decades earlier. She hadn't expected a simple stop for coffee to reopen memories she'd kept buried for years. As Ethan quietly thanked her again, Sophia noticed something unusual lying on the passenger seat. A worn notebook. Its pages were filled with hand-drawn mechanical sketches. Detailed engine improvements. Transmission designs. Fuel efficiency calculations. Professional-level engineering ideas. "You drew these?" she asked. Ethan nodded nervously. "I like solving mechanical problems." Sophia flipped through another page. Then another. The ideas weren't amateur sketches. Some were remarkably innovative. "Did you study engineering?" "No. I'm just a mechanic." Sophia looked back at him. "No," she said thoughtfully. "I don't think you're just anything." For the first time in months, someone wasn't looking at Ethan with pity. They were looking at him with respect. And neither of them realized that this chance meeting in a McDonald's parking lot was about to change both of their lives forever. Because sometimes kindness doesn't begin with $1 million check. Sometimes it begins with one warm breakfast. And someone who chooses to truly see another human being. The morning sun slowly climbed over Cedar Falls, painting the parking lot in soft shades of gold. After breakfast, Ethan gathered the empty wrappers, making sure not to leave even a napkin behind. Sophia noticed. "You don't have to clean up," she said. Ethan smiled politely. "My dad always told me, leave every place a little better than you found it. I've tried to teach my kids the same thing." Sophia glanced toward Lily, Noah, and little Emma. Each child quietly helped collect the trash without being asked. There was dignity in this family, something that had survived despite everything life had thrown at them. Sophia looked back at Ethan. "I have a question." He nodded. "Would you be willing to come to my company this morning?" Ethan hesitated. "I appreciate everything you've done, but if this is charity..." "It isn't." She smiled. "I think you have something my engineers might want to see." Ethan looked down at the notebook resting on the passenger seat. "You really think these sketches matter?" "I wouldn't have asked otherwise." An hour later, Ethan parked the aging station wagon outside Bennett Automotive Technologies. The children stared through the windows. The glass building reflected the morning sky like a giant mirror. "Dad," Noah whispered. "People really work here?" "They do," Ethan answered quietly. "I've never seen a building this big," Lily admitted. Sophia met them in the lobby herself. She introduced the children to the receptionist, who immediately found coloring books, puzzles, and hot chocolate. Emma grinned from ear to ear. "This place is fancy." Everyone laughed. For the first time in weeks, the children looked like children again. Meanwhile, Sophia escorted Ethan into one of the engineering labs. Several senior engineers were already discussing a problem that had delayed one of the company's newest electric delivery vehicles. The prototype kept overheating during long-distance testing. Months of work had failed to solve it. Sophia placed Ethan's notebook on the conference table. "I'd like everyone to take a look." Some engineers exchanged uncertain glances. One quietly asked, "Who's the new consultant?" Sophia answered honestly. "He's an auto mechanic." The room became noticeably quieter. A few skeptical expressions appeared. Ethan noticed them. He almost apologized for being there. Instead, Sophia handed him a marker. "Walk us through your idea." His hands trembled. He hadn't stood in front of professionals before. But once he faced the whiteboard, something changed. The nervous father disappeared. The problem solver appeared. He drew airflow diagrams. He explained how heat was becoming trapped inside a narrow section of the battery housing. He suggested a completely different cooling pathway using fewer moving parts. The room fell silent. Not because they disagreed. Because every sentence made sense. One engineer interrupted. Wait. He quickly pulled up the prototype's digital model. Another engineer compared Ethan's drawing with their design. After several minutes, someone quietly said, "I think he's right." Another engineer looked up. "If this works, it solves the entire overheating issue." Sophia watched without saying a word. She hadn't invited Ethan because she felt sorry for him. She invited him because talent deserves an opportunity. No matter where it's found. Over the next several hours, the engineering team built a computer simulation using Ethan's suggestion. Everyone gathered around the monitor. The test began. Battery temperature. Stable. 10 minutes. Still stable. 20 minutes. Perfect. 35 minutes. No overheating. No warning lights. No shutdown. The room erupted into applause. One engineer laughed in disbelief. "We've been chasing this problem for 6 months." Another turned toward Ethan. "You solved it in less than an hour." Ethan stared at the screen. I honestly wasn't sure it would work." Sophia smiled. "The best problem solvers usually aren't." That afternoon, Sophia invited Ethan into her office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. She handed him a folder. Inside was an official employment offer. Senior Mechanical Innovation Specialist. Full benefits. A salary Ethan had never imagined earning. Paid training to complete an engineering degree if he chose. Flexible hours so he could care for his children. He blinked several times before speaking. "There must be some mistake." "There isn't. I'm not an engineer." Sophia leaned forward. "No. You're someone who never stopped learning. You solved a problem no resume could solve." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "I don't know what to say." She smiled gently. "Say yes." He laughed through his tears. "Yes." Before leaving, Ethan asked one unexpected question. "Can I earn this?" Sophia looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" "I don't want my children believing good things happen because someone feels sorry for us." Sophia nodded. "I understand. So let me prove myself." She smiled warmly. "You already have." That evening, instead of returning to the McDonald's parking lot, Sophia quietly arranged temporary family housing through a local apartment partnership the company supported. She never announced it publicly. She never invited cameras. She simply handed Ethan a key. "This isn't forever," she said. "It's simply a safe place until your first paycheck arrives." Ethan looked at the apartment key for several long seconds. Then he whispered, "I've spent months wondering if my kids would remember this season as the worst time of their lives." He smiled as tears rolled down his face. "Now I think they'll remember it as the day strangers became family." Sophia looked out the apartment window. "Funny thing," she said softly. "I thought I was helping you." Ethan shook his head. "You were." She smiled. "No. You reminded me what success is actually for." As the children raced through the apartment, laughing over who would choose which bedroom, both Ethan and Sophia realized something important. Kindness had not rescued one family. It had transformed 2 lives. And neither of them yet knew that the greatest test of their friendship, and the biggest opportunity to spread kindness, was still waiting just around the corner.